Part 69. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 681. Wang Xinchen helped send the telegram. Of course Guo Yan knew it and sent not only one copy to Feng Qingxiu's hometown, but also to Lujiang. Therefore, when she heard that she was Feng Qingxiu's aunt and father-in-law, Guo Yan was particularly happy for Feng Qingxiu, which meant that she was valued by her family, so she hurriedly said, "Quick, please come in, Xiaoxiu is in the house. I'm washing diapers, so I won't help you with your luggage." Good guy. The three of them brought a lot of things with their big and small bags. After Wang Fengqiao heard this, she immediately put down her luggage and the basket she was carrying. "I'll wash it." "Farewell, farewell, I'm about to finish washing, so don't touch it." Guo Yan didn't think it was hard to wash diapers. She didn't suffer anything during the war. "It's windy in the capital and it's cold outside, you go in first, go in first." Lu Ziwen hugged Zibao and Wang Zhenqiu, who were rubbing against him, and thanked Guo Yan together. None of her family members are with Feng Qingxiu. No matter who Guo Yan is, taking care of Feng Qingxiu here deserves their gratitude. Guo Yan smiled and said, "Why are you so polite? Don't we all help each other?" When she said this, Lu Ziwen and Wang Zhenqiu stopped being polite to her and secretly planned to repay her and her family. Wang Fengqiao came into the room first, and Feng Qingxiu was feeding Fubao, and was very surprised to see her. "Auntie? Did you come alone? There are also your father-in-law and your uncle." "We came together. They were afraid that it would be inconvenient for you, so they didn't come in. They were holding Zibao and kissing us outside. It's been a year and Zibao actually recognized us. How can your father-in-law and your uncle not come in?" "I'm so happy." Wang Fengqiao sat on the edge of the bed, looking at Fubao, and couldn't help but praise, "What a fat girl. Look at her face." After Fubao drank the milk, he burped, opened his round eyes, and let Feng Qingxiu put him in his aunt's arms. "The face is very fat, the eyes are also big, and the double eyelids are deep, especially like Lujiang. It's hard to tell who the face looks like, but the eyebrows, nose, and mouth are quite similar to Feng Qingxiu. She weighed 8 pounds and 2 taels when she was born, and she had enough milk after she was born. Do you think she can stop being fat?" Feng Qingxiu put down her underwear and cashmere shirt, buttoned up her floral thin cotton padded jacket, and folded it up. The hair is rewrapped in a turban. Wang Fengqiao was speechless. "I thought Zibao was fat enough when he was born, but I didn't expect this child to be even better." Regarding this issue, Feng Qingxiu did not expect it. After Fubao closed his eyes and fell asleep, Wang Fengqiao put her back on the bed, covered her with a quilt, turned around and asked Feng Qingxiu, "Xiaoxiu, if you have packed up, ask your uncle and your father-in-law to come in and take a look. What's this kid's name?" "My famous name is Lu Tianhui, my nickname is Fubao." "Fubao? What a good name. Like 11 Bao, they are both good names. Let them come and take a look." Feng Qingxiu hummed, and Wang Fengqiao went out to call Wang Zhenqiu and Lu's father. The latter held Zibao's hand and said as soon as he entered the door, "Xiaoxiu, thank you for your hard work. Ajiang was not at home when Zibao was born. Now she is giving birth to Zibao's sister, no one in the family is with you." "Dad, don't say that. I don't have any hard work. Ajiang is far away in the army, so I can't blame him," Feng Qingxiu said sheepishly. "Besides, everyone is very kind to me. I use many things, and Fubao, now the milk powder I drank was donated by everyone, and the aunt who took care of me during my confinement period was Wang Xinchen's aunt. Have you all met her?" Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 682. Zibao was anxious, and before her mother could finish speaking, she forcefully dragged Father Lu towards the Kong. The little fat finger pointed at the fat sleeping baby in the swaddling clothes and said to Father Lu, "Grandpa, look, sister, fat sister, little baby, baby is a big baby." "Okay, okay, Grandpa, come and see my sister." Feng Qingxiu had already got off the Kong, and Father Lu was sitting on the edge of the Kong, looking at his little granddaughter. The little granddaughter, the first girl in the Lu family. Father Lu's eyebrows and eyes were smiling, and he lowered his voice naturally. "Zibao is now a brother, are you happy?" "Happy," Zibao nodded. "Sister, my sister." As he spoke, he took out a handful of toffee from his pocket and placed it generously next to Fu Bao. "Sister, eat it." Father Lu's heart felt as soft as cotton. He couldn't help but hold his grandson on his lap and sit. 11 Bao is so good. My sister will be very happy when she sees the candy you gave her. However, my sister is too young. You can't eat sweets now. When she is as big as Zibao, can Zibao give his sister some sweets? Good. Listening to the exchange between the two men, Wang Zhenkuo and Wang Fengqiao both laughed and kept praising Zibao. How can such a cute child not cause pain? Feng Qingxiu asked in a low voice how she found Wang Fengqiao. She was still in the military hospital when she sent the telegram, but she did not leave her current address. Wang Fengqiao replied, "I just found the army, and then I was in the army I found this place under the guidance. Fortunately, you left your address to them when you moved out, otherwise we would have been caught blind." Feng Qingxiu hummed and secretly felt happy. When it was time for lunch, Wang Fengqiao went to the kitchen without saying a word. Guo Yan was making pig's trotter soup for Feng Qingxiu. When he saw her coming in, he said, "You have come a long way, rest and talk to Xiaoxiu in the house. I just cook." "Where can this go? This time has been very troublesome for comrades. Now that we are here, comrades can have a rest." As Wang Fengqiao spoke, she took out the things they had brought, including 50 kilograms of white flour, 50 kilograms each of cornmeal, dried sweet potato noodles and dried sweet potatoes, as well as a bag of dried vegetables, a basket of eggs and 4 legs tied to carry them in. "Old hen. It's a long way, and it's inconvenient to take a car. It's just these chickens." It took a lot of effort to bring them all the way. Wang Fengqiao was a little embarrassed, with a blush on her bronze face. "Fortunately, we were in the car. We packed them in sacks and tied them tightly. There was food in them so they wouldn't starve. Let's kill one and stew it for Xiaoxiu." When Guo Yan saw this, she said, "You really love Xiaoxiu, who among ordinary people would be willing to bring her here all the way. Who else is willing to do it?" Wang Fengqiao pursed her lips and smiled, "I am just a niece, and I have no father or mother. The two sisters depend on each other for life. Can I not have more pain as an uncle and an aunt? It was better to give birth to Zibao at home last time, with food, clothing, and housing. It's all convenient. Now that I'm giving birth to Fu Bao in the capital, no one at home is around, but we're worried. It's time to send us a telegram when I'm about to give birth and not go back to the army. I won't send it until after the baby is born. Rice, I have to give her a good scolding." That's what he said, but every word was full of love, and he didn't hesitate to scold him even afterward. With her family around to take care of her, Guo Yan went back after dinner. Wang Xinchen was at home. After hearing the reason for her return, she jumped up and asked, "You said Zibao's grandfather and uncle are here. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 683. Guo Yan saw the surprise on his face and felt strange. "Why are you so excited?" Wang Xinchen suddenly remembered that he had never mentioned Lu Ziwen's specific situation to his wife. Seeing that there was no one in the room, he whispered to her, "I told you before that I have two sworn brothers. Do you remember? Remember, you said one is in my hometown and the other is Chengbeokuo." Guo Yan said, "Chengbeokuo, we often see the two of them. Aren't they now transferred back to their hometown to become the mayor? Although we haven't had much contact over the years, we still have some news." "Home. Who is that? I never heard you mention it, I thought he was gone." Needless to say, there were war years. There were famines in the past few years and countless people died. Guo Yan's thoughts were normal. He is Xiaoxiu's father-in-law. Wang Xinchen lowered his voice and told her the whole story in detail. "Wang Zhenkuo, like me and the third child, is the second brother's companion, and we couldn't understand each other better. Back then, if it weren't for the kindness of my second brother and his support for us when we left home, my third brother and I might not be where we are now." Speaking of this, Wang Xinchen was filled with emotions and missed the scene when they were studying together even more. After hearing this, Guo Yan tapped his forehead with her index finger. You, Lao Wang, what do you want me to say? You actually forgot to tell me such an important thing. Where is your brain? I'll just say, well, it would be fine if you and Zibao were destined to love him. Who wouldn't like a child like Zibao? But you also care deeply about his mother, and you specifically mentioned them in front of the old leader and gave them a chance to meet him. And asked me to take good care of Xiaoxiu during confinement, just like I did to our daughters-in-law. I kept thinking in my heart, is it really because we are from the same hometown? Until now, the relationship between our two families is so close, no wonder Xiaoxiu said, a big man screams, so affectionately, and so confidently asking you to take care of Zibao. Wang Xinchen scratched the top of his head. The higher the position, the more important every move is, attracting people's attention. The situation of the Lu family is like that, so on the surface, there has been no contact. In a blink of an eye, more than 30 years have passed. I kept it in my heart and didn't dare to say it out loud, so I forgot about it. I thought I had told you before, but it turns out I didn't mention it. Since we haven't seen each other for more than 30 years, then if you have nothing to do, go and have a look." Guo Yan was very considerate. "Ask Xiaolan to buy 2 bottles of Maotai, and then go to the supply department to buy some vegetables and take them with them. You guys have a nice drink." Wang Xinchen couldn't wait to go out, and met Lu Shui and General Su on the way out. "Hey, freshman, I'm going out for an inspection with my old boss the day after tomorrow." "Where are we going now?" "Isn't it because I missed Lu Dabao just after I sent him back?" Lu Shui scratched his chin and laughed. Wang Xinchen nodded and admitted, "Yes, I went to see Zibao before I left." General Su smiled and said, "If you have the chance, bring me here to play. Many people are curious about this little guy who dares to call the old leader a brother. I will definitely bring him when I have the opportunity. Just don't bother him when the time comes." Wang Xinchen was anxious to meet Lu Ziwen and Wang Zhenkuo, and quickly got into the car without saying anything. He rarely took the car, but now he couldn't care less, so he quickly arrived at the destination. "Zibao, Grandpa is here to see you," Wang Xinchen warned in a loud voice and pushed the door open directly. Father Lu, who was playing with Zibao in the yard, suddenly raised his head. The two brothers' eyes met, their hearts were shaken, and their eyes were a little moist. "Once I change the outline, things really go wrong. Let's update it a little bit first. I'll continue coding. Please vote." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 684. Although they have been away for more than 30 years, they are all gray-haired and full of wrinkles, but their eyebrows and eyes still have a familiar look. The two were so excited that their lips trembled slightly and they didn't know where to start. Seeing the guards following Wang Xinchen, Lu's father, who was squatting and catching ants with his grandson, stood up and said, Comrade is the comrade Wang that Xiaoxiu often calls, right? I am Zibao's grandfather Lu Ziwen, let's go inside and talk. This was to make it clear that he would not recognize Wang Xinchen in front of outsiders, and Wang Xinchen understood it very well. Grandpa, Zibao stood up and ran to Wang Xinchen. When he got there, he turned back and pulled Lu's father to Wang Xinchen. He pointed at Lu's father and said, "Grandpa, my grandpa." As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and made an arc. Wang Xinchen thought for a long time before he remembered that he was describing big sweet potatoes, and teased him, "Yes, we all ate the big sweet potatoes grown by your grandpa a few days ago. Zibao, let me ask you, do you recognize all of these grandpas?" So smart, among the children Wang Xinchen has met, few are as clever as Zibao. Hearing his praise, Zibao's head nodded rapidly. Father Lu couldn't help but laugh. He hadn't seen him for a year, and his little grandson's words and deeds were becoming more and more lovable. Wang Xinchen saw through his thoughts and said, "Brother, you don't know, your grandson is the best in the world. A person who dares to be a brother to an old leader will instantly lower his seniority. The photos from that time have been released. I will ask someone to send you some other time." "What?" Xiao Zibao and the leader comrades are brothers. Wang Zhenqiu happened to come out of the kitchen carrying a basket of steamed buns. When he heard Wang Xinchen's words, his mouth was open enough to stuff a steamed bun. "Do you think you are brave? No child in the whole courtyard dares to do this. Look, in the future, he will be another tiger general, with the wisdom of his ancestors and the courage of his father." Wang Xinchen nodded with a smile. Not letting the guards instead, he let Wang Zhenqiu, who was carrying a bamboo basket, into the house first, and then he and Father Lu entered the house one after another. Zibao followed behind, crawled onto Father Lu's lap and sat on his lap. "Grandpa," his tone couldn't be more affectionate. Father Lu hugged Zibao and smiled at Wang Zhenqiu. "Zhenqiu, come and identify who is here today." Wang Xinchen was stunned and immediately knew that Lu's father was not going to hide it from Wang Zhenqiu. It must be that Wang Zhenqiu's actions over the years had earned Lu's father's trust, so he smiled and said, "Yes, Zhenqiu, who do you think I am?" Wang Zhenqiu stared at him for a moment, with a trace of hesitation in his eyes. "He's very kind, but he doesn't dare to recognize him." Father Lu smiled. "You recognized it, right? It's like an iron egg." Wang Zhenqiu said sheepishly, "I recognized him when I heard you say that. So Comrade Cheng is really a tough guy?" "I think so. I was afraid that I would admit my mistake, so I didn't dare to ask. He is a relatively sensible person. If the other party doesn't tell, he won't ask. If the other party doesn't tell, he must have the intention of not telling. As long as he doesn't harm himself and his family, there is no need to worry about whether to tell or not." Father Lu's background was so poor, it was quite normal for Cheng Baoqiu and Father Lu not to tell outsiders that they were sworn brothers. Secret protection was safe for everyone, and the buns had meat but not in the folds. As soon as the words came out, Wang Zhenqiu suddenly thought of the guards standing at the door, stood up suddenly, and said at a loss, "Wait, let me be quiet, let me be quiet, Wang." Wang Xinchen said, "My name is Wang Xinchen." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 685. Wang Zhenqiu's mouth opened wider. The name Wang Xinchen was familiar to him. The founding father of the country holds a high and powerful position and is the greatest pride of Huihei City. Who mentions him without raising a thumbs up? He thought that Cheng Baoqiu was already very powerful from official to mayor, but he didn't expect that the person in front of him was even more powerful. He was worthy of being the sworn boss of the Daowen trio. No wonder Father Lu had been living so calmly. No wonder Feng Qingxiu and Zibao had the opportunity to when the leader showed up. It turned out that Lu's father's two sworn brothers were no longer in the pool. They were not ungrateful and naturally promoted Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu with their heart. How come you changed your name when you went out to pursue your future? It made him afraid to admit it. Zibao suddenly said, Grandpa, you are so big, he pointed to his mouth. Wang Zhenqiu shut his mouth suddenly, feeling at a loss for what to do for a moment. But Father Lu was very calm and said with a smile, Zhenqiu, sit down, don't be so formal. We have been together for so many years, who doesn't know each other? If the eldest brother had put on airs, he wouldn't have come here. Taidan came to my house before. I also thought about telling you this matter, so that you don't have to worry about Taidan looking at me differently, but I don't know where to start, so I won't hide it from you now that we meet. Yes, Yongkook, we brothers had a drink together a few nights and caught up with each other, but we haven't seen each other for over 30 years. Time flies so fast, most of my life has passed. Wang Zhenqiu sighed. Although Wang Fengqiao didn't know the secret that Wang Xinchen and Lu's father were sworn brothers, and the brothers didn't plan to let anyone know about it anymore, Wang Zhenqiu sent word, and after she stewed soup for Feng Qingxiu, she set up a table of side dishes. The three of them sat having a drink, not mentioning the past, but only talking about the current cultural scene of their hometown, or teasing Xiao Zibao. Zibao, come on, let's have a drink together. Wang Xinchen picked up the wine glass. Zibao's eyes lit up, and under the smiling eyes of Father Lu and Wang Zhenqiu, he hurriedly picked up the wine glass filled with boiled water in front of him. Brothers, let's have a drink together. Grandpa, Grandpa, again he called Father Lu and Wang Zhenqiu, looking very anxious. Father Lu and Wang Zhenqiu had no choice but to pick up their own wine glasses. The four glasses clinked together, making a crisp and pleasant sound. As if he was an adult after touching the wine glass, Zibao happily sat on the chair with his fat legs swinging, nibbling on the white and soft big steamed bun in his hand. He took 2 bites and looked at the bun. Sister. Thinking of his sister, he slid off the chair and rushed into the east bedroom. Sister, Zibao put the big steamed bun on Fubao's swaddling clothes and wanted to give it to her. Fubao was awake and made a sound. Amid Wang Fengqiao's laughter, Feng Qingxiu hurriedly pulled her son back, hugged him and sat on the chair together. Zibao, mother told you that my sister is still young and can't eat steamed buns. Can you eat it by yourself? Good. Feng Qingxiu fed him a sip of chicken soup. Since there was no salt in the chicken soup, Zibao shook his head after taking a sip. No, no. After saying that, he ran out again holding the big steamed bun. Zibao ran around, and his fat figure added a bit of fun to the room. Wang Xinchen took a sip of wine and said seriously, Zhenqiu, although you and the Wanglu Brigade have registered with the old leader, it is not easy to continue. You must work harder. You must work harder. If something goes wrong and living standards drop, the local people cannot take credit from the Wanglu Brigade, so they can't help blaming you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 686. I told Zhenguo about this in private. Father Lu said, although it is indeed not easy to maintain it, it is better than not being famous at all. Even if the wind and rain are not smooth in the future, the harvest will. If something goes wrong, we are prepared, and the government will not really turn a blind eye to our Wanglu Brigade. Wang Xinchen understood. He meant that Huihei City would definitely guarantee the name of Wanglu Brigade to gain attention. In this way, Wanglu Brigade will get benefits that other production brigades cannot. If you think about it carefully, it does make sense. What's more, Cheng Baoqiu can also speak well in Huihei City. Wang Xinchen said with emotion, Comrade Lu, you are worthy of being. He is so intelligent that he thinks so carefully. Seeing their relaxed expressions, Wang Xinchen knew that they must have given him a backup plan. If Lu Ziwen had participated in the anti-Japanese war like them, instead of choosing to stay in his hometown to take care of his parents, then Lu's father would definitely become the second Zhuge Yang, who would have to live in a cowshed like now, depressed and frustrated. How could Father Lu not see through Wang Xinchen's thoughts? He smiled slightly. There are gains and losses, no need to worry about it. He is already content with his current life. It is good to be in a high and powerful position, but it is also surrounded by dangers, and ordinary people have the peace and tranquility of ordinary people. That being said, I still feel it's a pity. It's really a pity, Wang Xinchen said. Isn't this a waste of your talents? Obviously, you are the smartest one. Father Lu smiled and said, smartness is nothing. Smart people are everywhere. What was lacking during the anti-Japanese war was courage. You have it, but I don't. Zibao suddenly interrupted, I have it? The brothers were stunned and laughed. What do you have, Xiao Zibao? Grandpa, you are smart. Zibao patted his chest. Baby, smart baby, big baby. From the Lu family. The words from the Lu family made Father Lu feel very happy. Wang Xinchen couldn't help but laugh and said, this kid has a really good memory. It's been several days since the old leader praised him, but he hasn't forgotten it. I'm not praising Zibao. He was taught very well and is even better at details. See his good upbringing. Then he told Lu's father and Wang Zhenqiu one by one how Zibao behaved in front of the old leader. Father Lu became more and more happy as he listened, while Wang Zhenqiu became more and more surprised. It's yours, little Zibao. The future of our Wanglu brigade depends on you. Wang Zhenqiu reached out and touched Zibao's little head. The latter proudly puffed up his chest and showed all his proud looks in everyone's eyes. Father Lu said, Zibao, starting tomorrow, Grandpa will teach you the 3-character sutra, okay? When people are born, their nature is good. Their natures are similar, but their habits are far apart. Zibao opened his mouth and spoke in a clear tone. The 3 brothers looked surprised at the same time, and Feng Qingxiu heard it in the room and raised her eyebrows. She had never taught Zibao the 3-character sutra. Zibao could not speak fluently now. She originally planned to wait until Zibao was 3 years old before teaching him. Who taught you this? Father Lu asked him. Zibao said, Grandpa. Which grandpa? All the senior students in front of him were grandpas, and no one knew who he was referring to. Zibao suddenly flashed his eyes. Grandpa is broken. Wang Xinchen said, you are talking about the old leader, right? Did the old leader teach you? Only the old leader's clothes were patched for him to see. Later, Zioxiu made a suit of clothes and 2 pairs of shoes for the old leader. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 687. Lu's father and Wang Zhenqiu suddenly realized and understood Zibao's status in front of the old leader. It was not a blessing for ordinary people to have the old leader personally teach him the 3-character sutra. Wang Xinchen went back early the next morning and was immediately called over by the old leader's guards. I heard from Lu Shui that you went to see Xiao Zibao yesterday, the old leader said directly. Yes, Xiao Zibao's grandfather and uncle are here, so I went over to sit and have a few drinks. Wang Xinchen discussed it with Lu's father and Wang Zhenqiu, but they still didn't mention sworn brothers, and only talked about it as old friends. The old leader was stunned. Old friend? Yes, 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 you are also from the Wanglu brigade, but you haven't been back to your hometown for decades, so I didn't ask you about Lu Ziwen. Do they still know you? See you. Are you surprised? Wang Xinchen said with a smile, you can open your mouth enough to stuff a big steamed bun. Even Zibao said it's big. When Zibao was mentioned, the old leader laughed. After laughing for a moment, the old leader thought for a while. Since our creditors and the heroes of the Wanglu Brigade are here, you go and pick them up to meet me. I also want to ask about their living conditions. He knew that Feng Qingxiu's uncle is Wang Zhenqiu, the branch secretary and captain of the Wanglu Brigade. He is indispensable for the success of the Wanglu Brigade. Wang Xinchen was slightly startled. You want to see them too? Let's meet. The creditor is here, how can we not meet him? If we don't meet him today, we will have no chance. We will set off early tomorrow morning. After the old leader said this, he continued, don't forget to bring Zibao with you. Come here, this fat boy, I won't be surprised for a few days. Wang Xinchen certainly has no reason to disagree. Father Lu is his sworn brother, Wang Zhenqiu is his classmate, and Zibao is a junior. He has always hoped that they will be well in the future. Lu Ziwen and Wang Zhenqiu never expected that they would have this opportunity, and they were stunned. The weather was very good today. Feng Qingxiu was basking in the sun in the yard while holding Fu Bao. When she saw this, she smiled and said, Dad, Uncle, don't be in a daze, hurry up and go with me. If you miss this opportunity, you won't have it again. Wang Zhenqiu was at a loss. Your uncle and I are all in rags. How can I meet the old leader like this? They never expected to see any big shot in the capital. The siblings and Father Lu were all wearing patched clothes, although among all the clothes they had fewer patches. Feng Qingxiu pursed her lips and smiled, you are a farmer, uncle, you are an old farmer. There is nothing inappropriate about your appearance. I didn't listen to what Uncle Wang said. The old leaders all wear patched clothes, and they wear trousers when they see foreign guests. You're patching it up. So, you two are being laughed at because you are wearing new clothes? This is called hiding something. Wang Zhenqiu thought it made sense, so he and Lu's father followed Wang Xinchen out together hand in hand. But Father Lu was very calm. Before going out, he did not forget to take a bamboo basket, which contained some eggs and specialties from his hometown, such as radish beans, dried radish, candied garlic, pickles, etc. Because the smell was relatively strong, he did not open the jar. Guo Yan have no idea. Wang Fengjiao was so excited that she grabbed Feng Qingxiu's arm. Shui, your uncle and your father actually went to meet the leader. Yes, they have gone to meet the leader. When they return to our hometown, they will be envied by everyone. Feng Qingxiu also has a deeper understanding of the old leader's approachability. No wonder the people who were invited to the old leader's birthday banquet were all the children of workers and peasants. With Father Lu's intelligence, he would definitely handle it appropriately in front of the old leader, and she was not worried at all about something going wrong. Chapter 10, please vote. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 688. Wang Fengjiao was walking around the yard as if in a dream. At one moment she was happy for her brother and Father Lu, at another moment she was worried that her brother would not perform well in front of the old leader, and at the next moment she was thinking about how to show off to her father and fellow villagers when she returned. Her face was in a mess, and her face was alternately happy and sad. If Feng Qingxiu hadn't known that she was overly surprised, she would have been regarded as a madman. Afraid that she would go crazy thinking about it, Feng Qingxiu used a small cloak to block the wind blowing towards her daughter, and said, Auntie, I was so busy yesterday that I forgot to ask you about the situation at home. The house was busy when I came here. Is it over? How are the children? After listening to her question, Wang Fengjiao finally came to her senses, sat on the small stool next to Feng Qingxiu, and hugged Fu Bao. I'm done with my work. When I received the letter from the leader to your father, I was already finishing the work. Later I received your telegram. All the food was divided, and I hurriedly milled the flour and brought it over. As for the child, Xiaoun is with your uncle. Hey, that girl is smart and hard-working. You treat her like your own daughter. She often says she is much better than Jiao Qiao, but that makes Jiao Jiao very angry. Feng Qingxiu pursed her lips and smiled, "How are you, cousin?" Even though Miao Fengqin was full of resentment, she still loved her daughter the most. Wang Fengqiao couldn't help but laugh, "Xiaoun can just make her some delicious food to coax her. She is just as smart as you. And whether you are at the border or in the capital, you can send things home. It's her share and she can't even be happy about it." Feng Qingxiu understood what Wang Fengqiao meant, that is, Wang Jiao was still so delicious. Where are Tianjun and the others? How is the medical skill in Guancheng? Mentioning this, Wang Fengqiao became more energetic, "The children are quite good. The eldest sister of the Su family who lives in the cowshed often helps them wash and tidy up. Guancheng's medical skills are no worse than yours. She often travels across mountains and rivers to collect medicines and help everyone solve problems. He has suffered a lot of ailments, and now he has a good medical knowledge." The old gentleman asked him to go to school and get into medical university in the future. "Mr. Li's daughter is called Li Li. She lives in the clinic of our Wanglu brigade and is well known far and wide." You were half-assed at first. Feng Qingxiu was very happy, "This puts me at ease. There are many talented people in the world. I am only a monk halfway. I still have a lot to learn. It is not surprising that Comrade Li Li is better than me. Only for Mr. Li Huili to accept Guancheng, it's strange for me to be a disciple." Wang Fengqiao nodded, she liked her niece's air of not being too aggressive. "I think it's a little windy in the yard. You and the child should go inside quickly. The wind here is like a knife. You can't see the wind during confinement. If you see the wind, it will hurt. The root of the disease will be difficult to eradicate for a lifetime." Of course, Feng Qingxiu would not make fun of herself and her child's bodies, so she entered the house obediently. The wind in early winter is very dry, and the wind in the capital is dry and cold, a bit colder than in my hometown. Wang Fengqiao boiled the remaining half-pot of chicken soup from last night, added a bowl of white noodles, cracked 2 poached eggs, took out the chicken from the soup, shredded it into thin shreds, and sprinkled it on a large bowl. "Drop some sesame oil and send it to Feng Qingxiu." "Thank you, Auntie." Feng Qingxiu put down the child and took the bowl. It was a little hot to her hands, and she quickly put it on the bedside table. "Why are you so polite? Tomorrow, your uncle and I will go out and see if we can get into the black market in the capital and get you some nutritional supplements. Look at you, the flesh is already growing on your child. Why don't you see you getting fat?" Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, "Are you as fat as your cousin when she gave birth to eggs? I'm not happy about it. One white thing covers all ugliness, one fat thing destroys everything." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 689. While Feng Qingxiu and Wang Fengqiao were chatting and laughing at home, the old leader was also greeting Lu Ziwen and Wang Zhenqiu cordially. Wang Zhenqiu was so excited that he inevitably stumbled when answering. The old leader joked, "No wonder you are Zibao's great uncle, look how similar the tone of voice is. Zibao is young and speaks relatively late. Now he cannot speak very long sentences. He always bursts out 2 or 3 words in 2 or 3 words. If he speaks too long, he will stutter and break up." Wang Zhenqiu never expected that the old leader would be so approachable and funny, and he felt relieved. "I don't dare to compare with Zibao." "Ah," Zibao looked questioning. The old leader touched his little head and said, "Eat your fruit, grandpa, talk to your grandpa and uncle." "Oh," Zibao continued to immerse himself in the bowl, swung his fork to poke at the apple inside, and swallowed it in his mouth. It was Secretary Tang who poured the can into the bowl so that he could eat it by himself. The old leader looked at Father Lu, "Comrade Lu Ziwen, we have been friends for a long time, and we finally meet today. Father Lu smiled and said, we have looked up to the old leader for a long time. If the old leader was not so approachable and always remembers little things from the past, how would we have the chance to meet the old leader? These days, Zibao has caused trouble for you. This boy is very smart and cute. He brings us laughter. Why is there any trouble? Anyway, as your little grandson, he is also a little creditor of the country. The old leader glanced at Zibao and then looked at him again. Turning to the thin but elegant and open-minded old man in front of him, he said sternly, devoting one's heart to the country does not matter the size of one's efforts. Everyone who contributes will have merit. Comrade Lu donated money and property to support the anti-Japanese war. He is so devoted and devoted. How can this be a small matter? When Father Lu heard this, he said seriously, old leader, you have oversold me. Your property is nothing more than personal possessions. Although it embodies the efforts of our ancestors and fellow villagers, it cannot be compared to the heroic actions of the old leader leading the army and the people in the war, which are the sacrifices of countless heroes. The price of blood has led to today's prosperity and peace. Didn't the atomic bomb explode last month? The news in the newspapers was overwhelming. An atomic bomb has added a powerful weapon to our country, and it will no longer be humiliated by foreign powers. Without the backing of the state, how can those technicians conduct research safely? Having said this, he smiled slightly and said, country, only a country has a home. If the old leader has the opportunity, he should really go to our place and listen to the people's heartfelt gratitude and respect. We all survived the war years and crawled out of the dead, so we especially cherish the peace and prosperity now. How hard won it is. Old leader, our family and fellow villagers are all taking care of you. How can Zibao think of himself as a creditor of the country without having to live in an atmosphere of chaos? Zibao is young and ignorant, let alone talking about small creditors in front of him all the time, making him think that the country really owes him. When we talk about debt, it's not that the country owes us, but that we owe the country and the country's life-saving grace. The old leader was very moved when he heard this and patted Lu Ziwen on the shoulder. Little Zibao has a good upbringing. I know that without the words and deeds of the elders, Zibao would never be as lovable as he is now. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 690. When Zibao heard the old chief mention his name, he raised his fat face and asked, huh? Grandpa didn't talk to you. The old leader withdrew his pat on Lu Ziwen's shoulder, patted Zibao on the head again, and then said to Lu Ziwen, having said that, the debt cannot be written off in one go. One stitch at a time is the purpose of the army and the country, and no one is exempt. Lu Ziwen smiled and said, if you really want to pay off your debt, I have an idea. What's the idea? The old leader asked, and then said, you have to give me time, Comrade Lu, I really can't come up with such a large amount of money for a while. Let's not talk about the supplies for the time being. You just lent them to the country. According to the current price of gold, which is 5 yuan per gram, I can't even pay back 1000% of my royalties. I can't waste your time. I think it can only be an hour at most. Lu's father paused deliberately, causing both the old leader and Wang Xinchen to ask questions quickly. The latter kept urging, Comrade Lu, what is the method? Stop showing off. Father Lu smiled and said, the old leader has outstanding talents and wonderful calligraphy. He can be said to be worth a fortune. Who doesn't know this? Who is not proud to have the old leader's calligraphy? When I received the old leader's letter, I felt like I had found a treasure. I wish I could have it framed and hung on the wall to look up to every day. According to the calculation, the old leader is no longer a creditor of our family. But, after lending so much money and things, the old leader has to give me some interest, right? How about Deputy Mo Bao? The old leader and Wang Xinchen were stunned at the same time. The latter praised in his heart, "It is indeed Sai Kongming. This move is absolutely amazing." The old leader said uncertainly, "You want me to use my words to pay off the debt? A word is worth 1,000 pieces of gold, old leader. In the final analysis, our family has taken advantage. One of your poems is worth dozens or even hundreds of pieces of gold," Lu Ziwen said with a smile. For their family, money is the culprit, and the old man the leader's calligraphy treasure is a talisman. "I like your song Kainyuan Chun the most, especially counting the romantic figures, but also looking at the present. The old leader immediately took them to the study room and laid out rice paper. Wang Xinchen quickly stepped forward to study the ink. The old leader picked up the brush and wrote the song Kainyuan Chun. Before the ink was dry, dragons and phoenixes danced, showing everyone's aura. "Good calligraphy, good calligraphy. It's worth every word," Lu Ziwen was full of praise. The old leader handed him the brush in his hand. "How dare you stand side by side with Wang Zizi? The world praises them too much. Come on, I know your calligraphy is quite good, and your painting is also good. You can paint the harvest scene on the paper with just a few strokes. People look at it and feel happy in their hearts. Come here once in a while, and leave me a piece of calligraphy." Wang Xinchen moved the paper that the old leader had written aside and laid out new paper. Lu Ziwen pondered for a moment, then his pen moved quickly, and what fell on the paper was also the poem of the old leader. Every word, there was no mistake. It can be seen that he was full of respect for the old leader as he said. It's a small trick that made the old leader laugh. Lu Ziwen paid the check and put down his pen. The old leader put the two pieces of paper side by side, looked at them for a while and then said, "You are better than me. It is true that talented people live in high mountains. Xiao Tang, ask someone to have this picture of Comrade Lu framed and hung in my study." "Yes." Next, the old leader pulled Lu Ziwen to talk about the past and the present, and he felt as if he had met them late. Finally, he asked the camera's staff to take pictures of them as a souvenir. It was the old leader who suggested it first. "I deleted a few chapters, so it's late. I'll update again at 12 o'clock. Please vote."